Kieran?
Yeah.
Where you headed to?
What's going on? I'm going to, I was either going to go home or I was going to go up to Times Square to a comedy club to do an open mic.
Oh, you're a stand-up comedian?
Trying to be.
How long you been doing stand-up?
Year and a half.
What made you start? Is it depression, divorce, or schizophrenia?
I've been a two of those things. I've been a chef for 15 years and it's shit. So I'm trying to get out of the kitchen, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
But you're still kind of in the same environment, restaurant environment, waitresses everywhere.
Alcoholics, drug addicts everywhere.
It's the same
thing.
Yeah.
Psychopaths, yeah, man.
What makes you want to leave being a chef?
Like once you get to, I got to the point where I was like the chef of a couple of restaurants, and the next step with that was chef owner. And all my friends who own restaurants in this city, of a couple of restaurants.
Being a chef?
Like once you get to, I got to the point where I was like the chef of a couple of restaurants, and the next step with that was chef owner. And all my friends who own restaurants in this city are miserable, work even more.
Are they all cocaine addicts? Is that true?
What's that?
Are they all cocaine addicts?
Nah, I mean it was more back in the day. It's a bit more like kind of like.
That was the Anthony Bourdain era.
Yeah, it's a bit. You can't really get away with anything in kitchens anymore. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like the other day, I said to one of the cooks, I said, "I'm gonna crawl inside your asshole and explode," and I got sent into the office. I said, "You can't say that anymore."
Isn't that what Gordon Ramsay does?
That was all it was. It was the reason I started cooking.
He wanted to get the best out of the chefs.
You could just, I mean, it was all based on merit, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get bullied if you do a good job, but nowadays, it's not, you can't get away with, you can't talk to people like that anymore, and it's all changed.
So, what, it got too woke? What's the reason?
It got too woke, exactly. It's exactly what happened.
But now at stand-up comedy, you can berate people that you...
I needed to get back to berating people and bullying people, and so I got into stand-up.
Okay.
That's where it's at.
How's it going so far? It's
going good, man. Yeah, it's fun.
It's a pretty depressing environment. Open micing in New York City, it feels like therapy and delusion.
Coming from kitchens, it's like, to me, it's like heaven.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. You know, like.
What do you talk about? You talk about being a chef?
Talk about being a chef. Talk about addiction. Talk about just my take on just general stuff like, you know, relationships, all that kind of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you from New York?
No, I'm from London.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're losing your accent though.
It's kind of, half and half.
I can half, it almost sounds Australian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
is diversity our strength?
What do you mean by that?
Is it a strength or a weakness, diversity? Because
in like this city or?
In general. I mean, many people say that multiculturalism is destructive. People can't coexist. Unity is impossible. Especially, you hear people say like, oh, the white race is declining.
I think you have to assimilate. And, you know, I'm coming from London, right? I'm coming from England, which has a very high Muslim population. And growing up, see, people talk about racism a lot, right? When I was growing up, the only racism I really experienced in England was radical Islam towards whites. So when I tell people that over there, they're like, you're crazy, that never happened. But it was a lot of hate in England growing up.
Wait, so radical Islamists hate whites?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the radicals do. Not all Islamists hate white people, but like...
What's an example of that? Like Tommy Robinson protests, the Epstein guy?
I mean, just like when I was growing up, like, you know, we would get Muslim, like, Pakistani men would drive by and like their BMWs and roll down the window and spit at us, and you know when was
Pakistani would just spit on white guys?
Yeah, that's what happened when I was
for no
growing
reason?
Up. Well, because we were white.
Really?
Yeah, and there's whole areas in London where like you can't really go if you're white because.
Really? What neighborhoods? I go to London a lot.
Hounslow is one. There's a lot in East London. Peckham, I guess.
That's
Peckham's kind of gentrified now.
Peckham and Brixton.
Yeah, Peckham and Brixton, they're actually nicer now. They used to be hellholes when I was growing up.
They would say, don't go there, you're going to get shanked.
Yeah, if you wanted to buy drugs in London, you would just go to Brixton and get off the train.
And I mean, I think here too, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I think diversity. You know, I've always lived in a diverse city, and I love it because it has flavor. And I almost moved to Australia once, but I didn't because I thought it was too white. You know what I mean?
So what's the happy middle?
I don't know. Everyone's just kind of. I feel like there has to be a little bit of like. I grew up when with my buddies. You know, I had black friends, I had Pakistani friends, I had Asian friends, and we all were like a little bit racist. But it was fine.
In a funny way or a hateful way?
No, like just like I would just call you whatever, you know what I mean? And he would call me a white motherfucker, and it was back and forth, and it was fun, and it was fine.
But
nobody took it like to heart.
But that's the good kind of racism.
That was like a good kind of racism.
That's the unifying racism where we acknowledge each other's differences and joke about it because we love each other.
Right.
Not out of hate because I want to be away from you. I can acknowledge that you're different and make a joke about it, and it's okay. And then you can make a joke back.
Right.
That's what comedy's all about.
That's
why you're a stand-up comedian.
Exactly. But how do you like bring that into the culture in like New York City? Because it's a little bit, everyone's a little sensitive around here right now.
Do you feel ostracized as a white guy?
I don't feel ostracized, but I've definitely felt that the tensions rising over the years. A little bit.
You think it's more tense now?
Less so with the new guys in charge.
You like Mamdani?
No, not a fan of Mamdani.
What's the reason?
I guess it was. I think it's the property thing. I think he kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's actually true, but he said he wants to take property off the wealthy and give it to people that I feel don't deserve it.
Okay, so he wants to. It's like Robin Hood wants to steal from the rich.
Steal from the rich and give to the poor.
Okay.
And I feel like the game is rigged to a certain extent, but I feel like you have to like the billionaires and millionaires. I don't hate these people. I feel like they figured out the game and they cracked the system and they got to the top. And I feel like everybody should try and strive to achieve that.
Everybody should try to be a trillionaire like Elon Musk.
No, but everybody should face hard times and try and overcome them as opposed to play the victim.
You think all billionaires
I'll get to you in a second. That's a good.
No,
yeah, I mean, like Elon Musk, for example, he is one of the people purporting that Britain should stay Britain first, America should stay for Americans. He's literally an African immigrant, and he just became the first trillionaire, right?
Yeah.
He's confirmed a trillionaire. If he gave, I think in Islam it's the jizya tax, like 2.5% of your wealth to the charity or to the poor, he could solve world hunger without money, and he's just holding it for what? To build rocket ships? I mean, being a trillionaire, what's the reason? Why have that wealth? What is he doing with it?
But everybody at his SpaceX got rich too, right? Everyone that was with him from the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's not benefiting the world, is it?
No, I feel like okay, so he could do more to. Yeah, I'm sure every billionaire could do more to help.
Yeah.
Those.
Do you think you could ethically
But is power addicted? Do you think if you became a billionaire that you would be? That
doesn't excuse it. You shouldn't succumb to your vices.
But does money corrupt you that much that like it's easy for us to say? I'm not saying down here, but like we're not billionaires.
Well, you sacrifice money. You want it to be a stand-up comedian. You're making far less than you would be making as a chef because you're pursuing what you love.
Even as a chef, I made no money. I'm just kind of a masochist, so I just try and get good at stuff. I don't, the money. If the money comes,
well, you pursue things out of love, not out of wealth.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I've turned down millions of dollars because I didn't want to promote gambling. So
right.
I like to think that I wouldn't be corrupted by that, and I had opportunities to. And I said no because like these things are not going to benefit me or people around me. So there's no point.
Right.
Being self-serving is that's of the devil, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think he's doing good things for people but not posting about it?
No.
Not being public about it?
No, he posts all day long every day. All he does is tweet.
That's true, he does.
So
he
he's
posts a lot.
He literally just tweets all day. And he positions himself as a workaholic. I'm like, how does he have time to work if he's tweeting all day long about how Somalis are destroying America?
Yeah.
And about how Pakistanis are, invading London.
Right.
It's divisive rhetoric that I think is inciting violence and hatred. I don't think it stops any hatred. I think he's literally contributing. People like that contribute to more hate. Like Tommy Robinson, for example, this guy, Epstein said he was a cheap prostitute. This guy's holding all these protests in London, but he has Irish people come and speak up, and Nigerians speak up, and Koreans put bacon on their shoulders to be like, oh, look, we hate Muslims because we have bacon and they can't have bacon.
Right.
And so, wait, these are all immigrants. The only unifying idea here is just hating Muslims. So it's not actually anti-immigration. It just seems like it's anti-Islam.
Right, I get that. He's got a shady past, right? He used to be in the, I can't remember the name. It was like the National Front in England or something like that. It was like I guess you could call it a white supremacist group back when he was young, or whatever. But there are facts that are kind of hard to ignore in England. Like over the last 10 years, rapes have gone up over 1,000%. Which can't be ignored. The thing in Belfast that happened recently with the beheading in the street, you hear about that?
Yeah, there was a Sikh guy. That was horrible. I saw they started burning down houses afterwards.
Right, and there is two-tier policing over there. So, if the police are called to a scene and you were white as opposed to
I saw that he was
color.
stabbed and they didn't put him in the ambulance.
Right.
They handcuffed him when he was bleeding out. It was horrible.
Right. So what do you do about that? Like, I don't know what to do about that. That's a problem.
I don't think there's solutions for those. I think a lot of those crimes are amplified to make people more hateful. I think it's like the inverse George Floyd effect, where everybody's inside for quarantine and then everybody, the entire population, looks at this one video and goes out and protests. Yeah. Everybody broke quarantine to loot over George Floyd. Why hasn't anybody protested over the Epstein files not being released? It's because these are coordinated, these are pushed specifically to push outrage and keep people controlled.
Right.
You know, if you divide, you can conquer.
Yeah.
So there's no solution. Like Carmelo Anthony, this case with Austin McCaff, it's horrible. Carmelo Anthony shouldn't have stabbed him. He was guilty. But what is the solution here? Is there going to be a race war? Is there going to be segregation? Probably not. Yeah. Everybody gets outraged, and then everybody moves on. Right.
I try and, I try and not fall down a YouTube rabbit hole first thing in the morning and leave the house foaming at the mouth. But yeah. I fail every morning. So I think the trick is to just stay off YouTube and definitely stay off Reddit and try and be, try and be a good New Yorker and spread love to your neighbors.
I agree. That's a good point. Do you think that the internet, it seems like things are much more, and then when you go out and we're here, it's not what the internet says?
People don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you're like, haven't you heard about this? Haven't you heard about that? And everyone's just like, dude, I'm just trying to get to work. What do you, I think you do put yourself in a kind of crazy bubble. But then if you're not watching it, you're like, what's going on?
You're not informed.
Yeah.
I think the best way to consume it is know that it's all propaganda and you know that it's pushed specifically to make you feel a certain way and to drain your energy.
Yeah.
So that you become reliant upon the state and on people to tell you, make you feel good, that they're pushing a victim mentality so that you're easily controlled. Once you know that, it's easier to see through the blurred lines.
Do you feel that people that you know have been to you like, you're too into this stuff? Like you've turned into a conspiracy nut because you're keeping yourself informed?
Yeah, I've been called a conspiracy theorist for years, but I ended up being proven right about many of these subjects.
Right.
Like I was anti-vaccine when it was a crazy conspiracy theory, and now everybody's like, oh yeah, you were right.
Yeah, me too.
Perfect example of how you can be alienated, but I think it's important to say the right things at the right time. So many Epstein files, perfect example of how, if you were pushing for that to be released, if you said that this was insane and they're doing things with children on an island, you were called a schizo, a nut. Now we're right.
Do you think that, there's a rumor out there that Trump was the original whistleblower for it. Do you think that's true?
No, he was best friends with Epstein in the 80s and 90s. Like, his children were around him. Whistleblower, no, he's been the number one person covering it up. He moved Ghislaine Maxwell, the top pimp or the bottom bitch, from a maximum security prison to like a private resort. It seems like he has not spoken about it all. We're talking about fraud. They keep saying fraud, Somalis in Minnesota. What about the fraud on these people are all the elite politicians and billionaires. They're all connected on this island. Why haven't there been any arrests? Nobody's been subpoenaed. There hasn't been any sort of pressure to release it. He campaigned saying he's going to drain the swamp. He's implicated on these files, and so are all of his friends. Howard Lutnick, as Secretary of Commerce right now, was next door neighbors with Epstein.
Yeah.
These people have not been held accountable for their actions, so I think they're all liars.
Do you think the rise of AI is going to solve this problem? There'll be no more lies?
No, I think the rise of AI helps them cover it up. I think they can manipulate the files. They got lucky. They delayed it so long that AI is good enough to where that they can manipulate it however they want.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
But, yeah.
I try not to get too far into either side.
That's probably right. Are you a white identitarian or a white nationalist? So were you spit on in London?
Yeah, but it didn't really bother me or whatever. But it's stuff like when September 11th happened. I was in college in London, which is in England. College is the last 2 years of high school. And in my college, there was like a white corner, there was a black corner, and there was an Asian corner. When I say Asian in England, I mean like Pakistani, Bengali,
South Asian.
and Indian. And that whole corner celebrated when that happened. And I'm half American. And
they celebrated when 9/11 happened.
Oh yeah, they were going crazy. They were like, yeah, fuck America, all this kind of shit.
Oh, that's
and I'm like half American. My mom was American,
That's
so
horrible.
I ended up getting in a fight with a kid. I ended up punching the kid in the face, and I got kicked out of school.
Probably if they were celebrating terrorist attack, it's definitely,
Yeah, right, exactly. So that was kind of the vibe growing up. But I'm definitely proud to be white, I would say. I don't know if that makes me a white nationalist or whatever, but I'm proud of being Irish, being English, being American, and proud of our achievements. And I feel like there is a stigma to saying that, but I feel like I wish that was gone.
It's interesting you said earlier that there's radical Islam is against whiteness, but there are so many white nations, like Bosnia is predominantly Muslim, Albania predominantly, or I think it's a huge Muslim population.
That's right.
Islam is not specific to an ethnicity.
Right.
You know, the most populated Muslim country in the world, you know what it is?
No.
Indonesia. It's an Asian country.
Okay.
Not even brown or Arab like many people think.
I guess I meant the Western whites. Western people.
Right.
Western way of life, maybe. I don't know.
What is the Western way of life?
Oh man, freedom, capitalism probably is in there.
But here's the thing: so if they say that the white population is declining, and then you say Western civilization is defined by freedom, freedom allows for porn, freedom allows for OnlyFans, freedom allows for feminism, modernization.
Right.
This is why there's a lack of nuclear families, because modernization has pushed so much. Democracy, freedom. This is why traditional values have been corrupted. So then to then go blame and say it's Muslims doing it is it's calling out the wrong issue. So this is not the problem. The problem is democracy's freedom. It's like freedom allows for people to do whatever they want. Yeah. Women now, like the difference between women now and women back then when you were growing up, they are much more free and they're having much more out of marriage sex.
You saying that now they're doing that?
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like they were happier when I was growing up.
Yeah, it's like happiness is tied to traditional values.
Right.
You're going to be depressed if you're having sex out of wedlock. You're going to be depressed if you're consuming porn. You're going to be depressed if you're going out and drinking all the time and putting terrible things into your body.
And they were doing all that when I was growing up, more so than they're doing now. And I think
it's more back then?
I feel like they were happier back then, but they were still,
Well, maybe a perfect example, like OnlyFans didn't exist when you were growing up.
Right.
This is far more common. This is far more accepted than it was.
I feel like maybe they had there was like an end goal that they could see back then. Now, because people aren't really getting married anymore. I mean, it's really hard to date nowadays. I feel like that end goal is kind of fading away of marriage, kids, owning property, all that kind of thing. So it's kind of just more of an anger thing these days.
Yeah. The 30-year-old now, I think 10% of 30-year-olds are married and have homes and own a home. But back in the 60s, it was over 50%. The majority at 30 were married and were homeowners. Now the 10%, that means it's a pipe dream. The American dream back then was being majorly successful and having an empire. The American dream today is the standard of the past.
Yeah, I'm kind of resigned to it. How do you feel about it?
What do you mean resigned to it?
Like, I'm not going to get that kind of working or middle class life. I'm going to either fail and just rent in New York City until I die, or succeed and break all the way through. And that's fine.
There's no middle ground.
You're all in. You're all in. I'm all in.
I'm all in too.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure.
Hey, pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Cool.
What's your name again?
Kieran.
Kieran, great to meet you.
Yeah, nice.